What do a carrot, an airport, and a school all have in common? A carrot, an airport, and a school. Might seem like a strange way to kick off a talk about community engagement. But what they have in common is that a carrot, an airport, and a school, they all need a healthy ecosystem in order to thrive. And an ecosystem is a complex network, an interconnected system. And at Launch, we believe that in order to create a healthy ecosystem, we need to break down the walls between school and community. Let's think about that for a second. We all traveled through airports to get here, or many of us did. Let's think about the airport. In order for an airport to be successful, you need the runways and the planes, cutting-edge technology, you need air traffic control, you need great weather. It's a miracle that we're all even sitting here in this room. And similarly, a carrot needs rich soil, water, the perfect temperature, so it can grow and thrive. For us, these are just metaphors of the people and partnerships and the places where they exist, but bear with me. I want to talk a little bit about our school, Launch. So Launch Expeditionary Learning Charter School was founded 10 years ago. I was on the founding leadership team. We're in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, and we serve students in grades 6, 7, and 8. Our students are all Black and brown and mostly right from our community. At Launch, there's a lot of different philosophies that we're grounded in. And one of them is that active engagement with community partners makes our school better. It helps us build a better world. Another one of the philosophies that ground us at Launch is the philosophy of Ubuntu. I am because you are, and you are because I am. And similarly, we have a daily maxim: we are crew, not passengers. As you walk up and down the halls of our school or you go into our classrooms, you'll hear people saying, we are crew. And Ubuntu and we are crew, they really mean the same thing. That all of us together, our students and teachers and staff and families, our community partners and elected officials, we are all working together to build a better world. Now, a little bit about learning at Launch. At Launch, we learn by doing. We learn in community. What does that mean? Learning is heading out on the streets with Save Our Streets, Crown Heights, to make our community safer. And our students leading a walkout to end gun violence that has gotten national attention year after year. Learning is touring the houses at the Weeksville Heritage Center, where we have the opportunity to talk with artists and historians in our neighborhood, Weeksville, one of the first free Black communities. And learning is working with the Billion Oyster Project to restore the 75 million oysters in the waterways right out from New York City's coast to ensure that they have a healthy ecosystem and that they can thrive. I've been doing this work for a really long time. I could tell you story upon story upon story about these community partners. But what I want to focus on right now is a particular relationship with an organization called the Campaign Against Hunger. The Campaign Against Hunger is a food justice organization that's working to make sure that every single New Yorker has access to healthy food. It's one of our basic needs. And our students for the last 10 years have spent tons of time volunteering in the many farms of the Campaign Against Hunger and working in the food pantries and working in the newest food distribution centers that were developed during COVID. And I had the opportunity to talk with one of our students, one of our 8th graders recently, and I was asking her about this unit that she had just finished. It was a food justice unit. In ELA, they had read The Omnivore's Dilemma. In science, they were learning about climate change and access to healthy food systems. And she and her classmates had to do a project to try to figure out how to make sure that everybody in our community had access to healthy food. And this was particularly meaningful because 1 in 7 people that live in Crown Heights are food insecure. And many of our students and their families access the very pantries that we volunteer in as a school. So Cece had just finished this unit, and she went over to the pantry, and she was talking with Dr. Samuels, who's the leader there, and they had a really great conversation about the things that she could do to make a difference. And she came back to Launch and she said, you know, Miss Rubin, I just had this big aha moment. And she's got so much sass. Like she's talking, she's got this really big smile, and she's like, Miss Rubin, if we don't pause to solve this problem, who will? At Launch, you've empowered me as an ambassador over the years to believe that if there's a problem, it's my job to solve it. I can be a leader. I can be a change maker. And I was like, of course you can, Cece. Yes. At Launch, we believe that community is school, and school is community. I am because you are, and you are because I am. So perhaps you figured it out. That's our carrot. That is the people and the partnerships that make our school go. I think you're probably still wondering about that airport. So the airport could really be any physical space where learning takes place. But for us, it is actually a set of historic runways and airplane hangars. So, believe it or not, the first airport in New York City was at a place called Floyd Bennett Field. And right now, Floyd Bennett Field is 1,300 acres of land in Brooklyn that is completely underused. The National Park Service runs this land, and there are buildings upon buildings, more buildings than any other national park in the country, that are abandoned. Nothing is happening there. Launch is going to reimagine this space. So we have an opportunity right now to work with the National Park Service and all of our partners to imagine this new space for our students, the students of Central Brooklyn. But we're not doing this alone. Reimagining this space is working with our community. So we've put together a structure, our Community Advisory Committee, made up of, you could probably figure it out, our crew, students, parents, teachers, alumni, staff members, elected officials, community leaders in both our current neighborhood, Crown Heights and Weeksville, and the neighborhood where Floyd Bennett Field is. And we're all coming together to say, how do we develop this campus of and for the community of Central Brooklyn? How do we make this vision come to life? How do we reimagine these airport hangars, these old buildings that literally have holes in the ceiling, to make sure that our students can learn by doing? Our job is to break down walls between school and community, to continue working with the partners that we have been working with, and to make sure that that evolution is the type of relationship that's going to catalyze future impact. So what does that actually mean? Well, let's think about the campaign against hunger again for a second. So we've been working forever in their pantries and on their farms. Well, now they are collaborating with us, and they're building a 3-acre farm right outside of Launch's new high school. And on this farm, we're going to be able to not only use it as an opportunity for our students to learn green jobs of the future, but also to produce food for our community and for New Yorkers in need. Now, it's not just the campaign against hunger. We're a New York City Outward Bound school, and as our institutional partner, New York City Outward Bound, they're opening an adventure center on our campus at Floyd Bennett Field, and our students are going to be able to help run the adventure center. And New York Sunworks and Solar One, they're working with us to build a renewable energy lab. Again, making sure that Black and brown students have access to the green jobs of the future that they've been excluded from for so many years. Asasa Yal Cultural Arts Foundation works in our building every single week, and they're working with us to help us craft our program for the community amphitheater that we're building at Floyd Bennett Field. We are reimagining this airport. We are taking this dilapidated space and breathing life into it, turning it into something new. Now, I see you guys nodding your heads. You're like, yeah, that sounds great. I have to pause and say, building partnerships is really hard work. Building a learning ecosystem is not as simple as standing up here and saying, this is what we need to do. You've got to find the right people in the organization. You've got to make sure that the organization's mission and vision and values, that they align to your mission and vision and values. You have to make sure that all of the details are set and that they align to the big picture calendars, to the dreams of both organizations. And I know way too well from firsthand experience that sometimes the best laid plans go out the window. On May 3rd, I was planning a huge Better World Day celebration with EL Education and the Campaign Against Hunger and several other partners and all 300 of our students and families. And we woke up that morning and it was pouring rain. And I don't know about you, but going to the farms in the pouring rain did not sound like a great idea to our students and teachers. At Launch, we try to take those opportunities and to have them kind of catalyze growth. So while the carrot could represent any partnership or people, and the airport could really be any physical space where learning takes place, at the heart of this conversation is our school. It's the interconnected tissue that brings together the people and the spaces that they occupy. And for us, our vision of education is to break down walls, real or imaginary, because learning is part of living in the world. It's that messy work that we just talked about. As Cece said so eloquently, Ms. Rubin, when we find a problem in our community, we are empowered to solve that problem with the community, with the organizations that are serving our ecosystem. So there are partnerships and resources that exist not only for Launch, right? You don't just happen upon an airport every day, but there are partnerships and resources that exist in every single community. So I want to invite you to imagine with me. Think about your own communities. What is your carrot? What is your airport? What are the opportunities that exist in your community that spark the minds of your teachers, of your families, of your students? Sit with that for a second. So the more that we can all find these interconnected opportunities, and the more that we center ourselves in the powerful ecosystems that we all exist within, the more that we will be able to build the kind of relationships and the kind of world that we want to live in. I've done this work now for more than a decade, and the biggest thing that I've learned is that we can't do it alone. The work of community partnership is the work of doing it together, because we are crew, not passengers. Thank you.